Hey guys! Thanks for joining me. If you're watching on Periscope or YouTube right now, I surely do appreciate it. I'm Kelsi, and this is Kelsi Likes. But this time, I'm not really talking about just one topic like I have been doing. I'm talking about a multitude of topics, and not just any topics, topics that you guys chose for me to discuss. So it's a listener and viewer topic episode of Kelsi Likes. So, since I've got to go to Chicago really early in the morning tomorrow, let's get right into it right now. I got lots to do and pack after this is over, but I'm really excited to answer some of these questions, and you guys are so nice for sending some in. I really appreciate it for sure. All right, so like I said, it is viewer topics. And my first question I can answer pretty easily. So here we go with the first question. From my good friend RJ at Krasinski RJ, best war movie ever and best movie in general. Those are two extremely different questions. The second one I think is a little harder to answer for me because I have like 1,000 favorite movies. Jaws comes to mind as a favorite movie overall. Goodfellas, like I talked about in my last either or, I had to pick between Goodfellas or Godfather, and I chose Goodfellas. Spoiler. But it was still a good episode, and we analyzed a lot of the movies, a lot of the scenes from both movies. So if you guys want to check that out, that's on my YouTube and on my Periscope as well. But best war movie is pretty easy for me to answer. The Deer Hunter. And if you guys have seen it, it's really depressing, kind of, but it's awesome. Robert De Niro is in it, as is Christopher Walken, tons of famous people, and it really is a extreme movie. There's a long exposition, so it reminds me a lot of The Godfather with the opening wedding scene and stuff, but I think that if you get past the exposition, which is like another wedding, actually, just like The Godfather, and you get into like the war part, it is such a good movie. One of the best movies of all time, and I've written about it in college, and I've watched it many, many times. My second favorite war movie is a little bit lighter. It's Kelly's Heroes, which stars Donald Sutherland, and it's more of like a comedy. I know you might be thinking, how could a war movie be a comedy? But they rob, I think they rob like some Germans or something. They rob a German bank, but it is an awesome movie. And the character that Donald Sutherland plays is called Oddball. And for a long time in college, I was really obsessed with that movie. And I was in film school for a little while, so we had to edit our own silent movie. And in the credits, this is so silly, I put my credit as Oddball Schreiber instead of Kelsi. It's so stupid. But I love that movie that much. I really connected with the oddball character. If you guys haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. I want to say hi to Sandman29, who's shouting me out in the comments right now. Hey Sandman, thanks for watching, and thank you all for watching right now if you're tuning in. Let's go to our second question, and it is from Juice Pro Wrestling at JBDUB podcast, and all they said was Double Dare ? Yeah, Double Dare rules. I love Double Dare. Actually, Double Dare is coming to my city in New Orleans. It's going to be playing at the Sanger Theater. I say playing, it's going to be performed live in front of a live studio audience at the Sanger Theater here where I'm from. And I haven't gotten tickets, but it would be really fun to go. I'd be interested to see what it's like. Mark Summers apparently will be there, and I don't know, I'm a sucker for Double Dare. Definitely one of my favorite old school Nick game shows that has been rebooted recently. Motivated and Confident Bags, my good friend at Deej Kirkby, says, obviously, we all know you are a huge fan of wrestling and Nickelodeon, but what's one thing you are a fan of that would surprise everyone? Well, when I first got this question, I was like, this is a difficult question, and I was like, but I feel like people know everything there is to know that I like, because I'm so outspoken about everything I love. But I think people know that I love horror movies, but I think people don't realize how extreme that my family and I are into Halloween. We're really into Halloween. I mean, my dad and family, we throw a really big Halloween party almost every year. We didn't throw it last year, but we throw it almost every year, and we're going to throw it again this year. We decorate the house from floor to ceiling, and literally every room is decorated. My dad has spent like so much money on Halloween decorations, so you might not know that Halloween's a big part of my life, and so is horror movies, and I just love both of those things so much. And Halloween time has a great feel for me, like fall, the seasons changing, and just the feel and the atmosphere in the air. And I love horror movie soundtracks. That's another thing I like to listen to in October all month long. I'll listen to like a compilation CD I made of all my favorite Halloween songs and horror movie theme songs. So it's a lot of fun. Like Pet Sematary on my CD, the Halloween score, the Hellraiser score, which is one of my favorites. Even something silly like from the movie Fern Gully, Toxic Love, which Tim Curry sings. It's not really a Halloween song, but I kind of make it a Halloween song. NY Hustla233, thanks for joining. Really appreciate you watching. I appreciate everyone watching right now. We're just going through some listener and viewer questions and topics. People are asking me in the comments, NY Hustla is asking, do you know if the Are You Afraid of the Dark movie is still coming out this year? I actually have no idea. A lot of the Nickelodeon reboots have been kind of on hiatus in a way. And so it's been kind of a bummer because I'll talk about this actually later in one of my answers I'm going to give. So I'm not going to go too into it, but there's a lot of Nick reboots that are supposed to haven't happened that haven't happened yet. So we'll have to see. I don't know any news about Are You Afraid of the Dark as of right now, but I hope it's still on schedule and on track. We'll have to wait and see. At Sensei_Dave Bear, this is kind of old school, but who do you feel Ricky Steamboat had the best matches of his career with? Randy Savage, Ric Flair trilogy, or Great Muta? You know, I really haven't seen all of the Ric Flair trilogy, and I haven't really seen the Great Muta matches, which I'm going to have to go and check out, honestly. I mean, I'm really pumped. I'll definitely go check that out in a heartbeat. But I'd have to say the Randy Savage WrestleMania 3 match, because that's the match I've seen the most. I've seen it multiple times, and it's just a wonderful match, so rewatchable. Really an epically planned out match. You can't get much better than that. You really can't. Okay, so my good friend at Big Paws on a Pup asked, best TGIF lineup. Honestly, the only thing I really tuned in for was Boy Meets World. So I'd say Boy Meets World has to be in the lineup. No matter what the lineup was, I just really tuned in mostly for that show. And actually, if you guys like Boy Meets World, on some of my recent podcast episodes on Wrestling Inc.'s audio platforms, Two-Faced Wrestling Talk is what it's called, we interviewed, Paul and I, my co-host, interviewed the co-executive producer and writer of Boy Meets World. His name is Mark Blutman. He's super nice. He's a big wrestling fan, like me. And we had a lot to talk about, not just about Boy Meets World, but about wrestling too. And his stories about Vader, who guest starred on Boy Meets World. So that was a lot of fun. It was a 3-parter. So it was such a long conversation that I had to break it up into 3 parts and spread it over 3 different podcast episodes. But that's how great and interesting of a conversation it was. And I learned so much about Boy Meets World, including, I'll give this little tidbit away right here on this stream, but man, I was so interested to learn. Mark said that he didn't regret anything on the show. He wouldn't change a thing. If he could go back and change anything, he just wouldn't. And he said that a lot of people question why Eric, the character, changed from such like a suave kind of womanizer as a younger character to when he got older as a really ridiculous, silly character. And, you know, Mark said, well, the actor didn't have a problem with it. Will Friedle, he didn't have a problem with it. He never said, I don't like this makes me look stupid. So they never felt like they had to change it. But also, they kind of thought of him like a Jim Carrey type of actual person, actual character. So somebody who's like really funny, really zany, really over the top, that's what they thought of as Eric. So they thought that the change made sense. As he got older, he got a little bit more zany, a little bit more comedic with his personality. And when he explained it like that to me, it made perfect sense. And I actually really liked that explanation quite a bit. All right, my good friend, good guy Dave at Dave Pozeski has quite a few questions, and they're all really good. What are your thoughts on Doctor Who? Actually, some people might not be very happy with me, but I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. I've tried to get into it multiple times. My dad was a big Doctor Who fan, old school doctors, of course. I really am more of a Star Trek The Next Generation person, and I'm not even saying I'm a Star Trek person, even though I'm liking Discovery. I'm not caught up, but I like what I've seen from Discovery so far. I'm in the middle of season 1, but I really am just a big The Next Generation fan, and I kind of like that and gravitate towards that more so than Doctor Who. Hi, Dave. Dave's actually joining us in the comments right now. Appreciate you watching, Dave. Really happy to see you here. I'm answering your questions right now. It's the funny thing. All right, so Dave's second question was, what kind of video games do you like to play? Honestly, I'm a really casual gamer. I used to love the game Splatoon on my Wii U. I have to get a new Wii to kind of get the updated version, which I don't really have a new Wii, so I don't have the new Splatoon. But I like, Super Mario games. Those are so much fun and easy for anyone to play. Really, anything that's casual, like Super Mario Kart as well. That's a lot of fun. Any kind of party type games where a lot of friends gather around and can easily play. That's the type of games I gravitate towards too. Actually, Rayman Legends I really like a lot. I played that a few years ago and I was like, I love this game. So I'm a big fan of that. And he's also asked about what do I think is an underrated book series? And actually, I am the worst at reading books. I really, really am. I think I've read a lot of books this year, and I'm proud of myself because this show, Kelsi Likes, has actually inspired me to read a lot about topics that I'm going to discuss in my streams. So that's been a really cool inspiration, something that I didn't used to really do much before. But again, it's not underrated at all, but Harry Potter is my favorite book series, and I know that's not underrated, and I really wouldn't know what to say is my favorite underrated book series because I really need to read more books. That should be a goal of mine in the next few years for sure, but I'm improving this year at least, on the whole. And so now we go to our next question from Allison at Allison FAYE. Thoughts on intergender wrestling? Well, I love intergender wrestling. I think it's great. I don't know why anyone would have a problem with it. To me, it just shows men and women as equal. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I love Jordan Grace, who's a really big intergender wrestler. Candice LeRae, for a long time, was a big intergender wrestler, and I love her. She's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. She's incredible. Very, very incredible. I want to see more of her on NXT Wrestling, which should happen soon. All right, WrestleBear at WrestleBear1 asks Crystal Pepsi or Coke 2? Well, I don't think I ever tried Coke 2, so I think Crystal Pepsi. I'm reluctantly saying Crystal Pepsi, I guess, would be my choice. I don't know. King Sicro is asking Xbox One or PS4. Neither, because I'm just a super casual gamer. I don't think I really even played either one very often. I know a lot more people who like PS4 better, so I'll just go with them and say PS4. I know I'm kind of boring. I mean, I don't play games. A lot of people love video games. It's just I was more into movies and TV growing up. I was really like a cinema kid. I just watched movies all day, watched movies multiple times. That's what I love to do. All right, my social media friend Dave, my great friend Dave, and he runs StarCast, their social media account. So at StarCast events, they ask, what's your favorite part or feature or experience of StarCast? Well, I went to StarCast last year, and I'm going to it this year too. Can't wait. But last year, I gotta say my favorite experience was when I was at the all-in after party at StarCast, and Downstate was playing, and nobody in the room was dancing. I had 5 beers. Somehow I wasn't dead or passed out. I was really hyper, and I started jumping and dancing around. I almost bumped and jumped into Tennille Dashwood, Chucky T, and Trent Beretta came over and were staring at me freaked out, thinking I was the weirdest person. It was so funny. Oh my gosh. It was the greatest. So I was bouncing all around, only person dancing in the whole room, singing along to the All-In theme song. That was one of my favorite experiences ever. And I actually have a video of it. My co-host Paul took a video. It's really embarrassing, but I tweeted it out a couple of months ago, but I think I'll tweet it out again after this live stream, maybe tomorrow, because it's a lot of fun if I could find it where I put it on my hard drive somewhere. It's a funny video, I gotta say. I'm so embarrassed, but I'm bouncing all around after 5 beers, and it was just an awesome time. And the band was so good live. I can't believe more people weren't dancing or singing. Everyone was kind of subdued. Maybe they were tired after All In, but I was all into it. That's all I know, and I don't think they're playing this year, but I'm still looking forward to StarCast this year. I've loved all the Dark Side of the Ring, screening, and I think they're having more this year, so I'm excited about that for sure. Oh, StarCast is going to be awesome. If you guys are going to StarCast, let me know. Maybe I could say hi. That would be a lot of fun. Steve the Closer asks, and he's at _Steve the Closer. Best wrestling show you've ever been to? That's really, really difficult to say. My gosh. I I would have to say All In was really, really great, but I did love when I went to a WCPW show, now that's called Defiant Wrestling, and it was in Newcastle, England, and Paul and I had a lot of fun at that show, and it was War Machine versus Young Bucks, one of my favorite shows ever. I really liked a lot of Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor shows that I've been to. I've been to 2, I guess 3 if you count G1 Supercard as a Supercard of Honor, but I've been to quite a few, and I've loved every one of them. I'd have to say if I had to pick one favorite, I guess All In. It was just, the electricity in the air was indescribable and really fun, and it was a special show. Everyone in the room had like a common interest, and then you just all felt like you were there to support the same cause, the same goal, to make this show successful, to invest in something new and different. So I really, really just loved that show so much. StarCast events. So I guess Dave is in my comments right now saying he just retweeted my stream. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to seeing my friend Dave at StarCast. He works so hard. I really admire him. He does a lot of hard work. Man, I can't even imagine the pressure he's under running all of that social media. I know I couldn't do it. It's like, he's an impressive guy. So thanks for retweeting, Dave. I appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to see you and give you a big old hug. Metal_2006 is also in the comments right now saying that All In was amazing live. It really was, and I really do think it was one of my favorite shows ever. Oh, my friend Louie's also in the comments. Hey, Louie, thanks for joining. Wow, all my friends tuning in. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We're just, taking listener and viewer topics that people send into my Twitter, and I was just talking about my favorite parts of StarCast, and I will tweet out the video of me drunk dancing to Downstate because it was super funny, and somebody just asked me about my favorite parts of StarCast, and that was definitely number 1. Steve the Closer, he has multiple questions, and one of his other questions were, your biggest pop culture influence is what? Man, gosh, I have so many pop culture influences. It's like in everything I do, but I think the biggest has to be, and I think this will be no surprise to people who know me very well, 90s Nickelodeon. If you look at my Super Kickin' It with Kelsi logo, when I told my friend what I wanted the design to be, I literally drew out a shape that is really what the finished product ended up looking like. It was like a zigzaggy shape. I said I want it to look like a Nickelodeon shape or like the Rugrats title bubble. So really, in every aspect of my channel, you see like cartoony, 90s looking fonts and designs and graphics and stuff. That's all because I love 90s Nickelodeon. I love the colors. I love the animation style of everything they've done animated. I love their bumpers. Really, it was such a huge influence on me as what I like for art. Like, I'm not an artist. I can't draw. I wish I could. It would be awesome if I could. I'd be an animator in a second. Alas, I do not have that skill. So what I do like and can admire from afar is the artwork and the style, and just I can be a fan of it from afar, even though I can't draw or anything. So that's my biggest influence, 90s Nickelodeon, specifically the style of the channel, the colors. Orange is like one of my favorite colors. My 2 favorite colors, blue and orange. And I really think the orange, the reason it's my favorite is because of Nickelodeon. I mean, really, why would I think to have orange as my favorite color unless I grew up loving it, which I did because of 90s Nickelodeon. So he also asks, best concert I've ever been to is, oh my god, that's hard. I've been to so many great concerts. I'm not even a huge music fan. I really more like movies, but the few bands I'm really into, and I kind of go all out when I go to concerts. It's like, I don't want to be in the back. I'd rather be at a small local show or a small non-popular show and be in the front. Like, the front's where it's at. So the best concert I've been to where it's been a big show, like a stadium show, would be Rush. The second would be Metallica, which was awesome because that was in a baseball stadium. That was so awesome. Man, what else? I guess my favorite, smaller show, I've been to, 5 Coheed and Cambria shows. I think Coheed, every show I've been to of theirs has been awesome, and they're such great musicians, and there's nothing like bouncing around and dancing to a Coheed show and at a Coheed show. But I think my number 1 would have to be Glassjaw. It's this band that nobody likes. Nobody likes it but me. They're really angry. And they got terrible lyrics, in terms of it's kind of bad. People might get offended. But I really like them. I've always liked them since I was in high school, and they stopped touring for 8 years. They're really big in the New York scene, the northeastern scene, especially in hardcore music. They really kind of changed the hardcore music scene in general. They're one of my favorites ever. They're not really super well known. A lot of people know the song Ape Dos Mill. That's their most popular song, but that's not my favorite song at all. I really love this song called Piano that they do. But anyway, they didn't tour for a very long time, and I thought I would never get the chance to see them live. The lead singer had gone on to other projects. Also, he has this disorder, this disease that flares up, and his stomach is like all messed up sometimes. So a lot of times he'll tour and cancel the tour because he's not healthy. But it was announced that he had a show. They were getting back together. Gosh, I was like going on a reunion show, and it was in Atlanta, and it was so awesome. And I also saw Coheed that same day, so it was like both of my favorite bands at once. It was the greatest ever. And I got to be right in front, and the lead singer's name is Daryl, and he was right in front of me, and I was like, oh my god, Daryl's right there! And they played all my favorite songs, and it was just awesome. And I got to like scream, and I was in the front row. I was like in the middle of the mosh pit craziness, but I don't mind that. I actually like mosh pits and stuff. So, I mean, they're dangerous, but a lot of people protect me because I'm small. They're like, get out the way. And a lot of people actually, at concerts, the coolest thing ever is that people are like, you're small, come up to the front. I'm like, okay, if you say so. That's the one benefit, I think, of being a shorty like me. Another great concert I went to is this pirate heavy metal band called Ailstorm. Not Hailstorm, Ailstorm, like ale you drink. Yeah, it was a great concert. I dressed up with like a fake hook, a pirate hook, and an eye patch, and I got in the front row again, and it was so much fun. It's one of my favorite bands ever, and it was at a really dirty bar, so it was a lot of fun. Just being at the front at this small bar, it was awesome. I wish they'd come back. All they do is tour Europe now, and man. So, I really had a lot of fun at all of those shows. What is my spirit animal? I would say my favorite animal is a shark, but that is not my spirit animal. I don't think I, like, attack people and things. I would say my spirit animal is probably more like a penguin. They're really nice and, like, loyal and stuff, so I would say penguin, I think, is pretty appropriate for my spirit animal. And I also want to say a thank you to Red Eyed Villain, who said, I'm his favorite wrestling chick. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's so sweet. Thank you to all of you guys who are watching right now. It means a lot to me. More questions that have been asked from my friend Steve the Closer. If they made a movie based upon your life, what would it be called? Man, that's hard. I don't know. I really don't know. Something about being naive or being ridiculous. I really don't know. You guys can propose what would be a good movie title for the story of my life, because I don't have any ideas, to be honest with you. I should have ideas. I mean, I know my life, but I don't know. Seaman29 says his spirit animal is Braun Strowman. That's pretty funny. Five Nerds Go said, watch Funhouse. I did not watch Funhouse. I was too busy watching all of the Karate Kid movies in the last 2 weeks and all of Cobra Kai season 1 and 2. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm obsessed. I flippin' love Cobra Kai. It's like my favorite show right now. I cannot wait for 2020 for season 3. Can't believe I gotta wait a flippin' year. I'm so upset. No. And if you guys want to hear me analyze Cobra Kai, I joined Raj and Glenn, and we all recorded a in-depth analysis on Cobra Kai. We did a 2-parter. The first part aired this past Friday. You could find it on my wrestling podcast, which drops on Wrestling Inc.'s audio platforms. And the second part, which is an hour long, it sounds like, oh my god, that's so long. But trust me, the analysis was well done. It's worth it. Check it out. It'll be a part of my podcast this week, which drops this Friday. So check that out on Wrestling Inc.'s platforms and on their YouTube channel. I love Cobra Kai. And I really think that Mr. Miyagi, like, rewatching all the Karate Kid movies, like, his philosophies really speak to me. I know this is, like, really super cheesy, but just the whole idea of balance and stuff, I need that in my life. So I'm gonna adopt a Miyagi lifestyle right now. I'm gonna try to, like, have his mindset, balance, and being good to people, and just all the awesome sayings he has. I think I'm gonna print some out and, like, put them up. I'm just really into the Miyagi teachings right now. So I guess if I had to pick a dojo between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, I'd probably pick Miyagi-Do right now, because I'm in this whole Zen type of phase, I guess you could say. I hope it's not a phase. I hope it lasts a little bit, because I think that's a good way to be, for sure. Kelsi, the Ultimate Face would be the movie title, Dave Pozeski says. Thanks, Dave. I love that idea, actually. Really love that. That's actually a perfect a perfect movie title for my life. The Ultimate Babyface. So again, the reason why I didn't watch Funhouse is because I was too busy watching The Karate Kid and literally having the time of my life watching that show and all the movies again. So, love Cobra Kai, love Karate Kid. It never used to be a favorite movie of mine, and I've seen Karate Kid multiple times, but I think it's moving into my top favorite movies right now, for sure. Just love it so much. At PCH Nobog asks, hey Kelsi, which 80s werewolf flick takes the belt? American Werewolf in London or The Howling? He says personally he likes The Howling. It's his all-time favorite horror film, and it always brings back such great memories. He saw it with his high school girlfriend and found out she liked horror movies. That's pretty cool. I love horror movies, like I was saying. People might be surprised to know how much I do love them. Like if you look in my room at home at my parents' house, tons of horror movie posters all over. I'm a really big fan. Like I said, during Halloween, the whole house, there's like skulls, there's like severed fake heads and all this, and also some fun, silly decorations too. It's not all gory and serious, but between the two werewolf movies, I would say I kind of gravitate towards American Werewolf in London because I remember watching it for the first time with my dad and him explaining to me why it was such a big deal and the special effects and how the special effects were really revolutionary for movies in that movie. So I really like that movie a lot because of just remembering watching it with my dad and him explaining to me about the backstory of it and just us sharing the love of it and stuff. Team Louie said the correct answer is Fright Night. I love Fright Night. It's not a werewolf movie though. And he says, I know it's not a werewolf movie, shut up. That's funny. Okay, so now we've got a question. It's actually two questions, and it's basically about the same topic, so I combine them here. My good friend Deej Kirkby and my great friend Lisa at LCHIME, they asked basically about what's my favorite game show. Well, if we're not just talking 90s Nickelodeon, I would say my favorite game show, like a regular game show, would be Wheel of Fortune. I remember Pat Sajak was in a parade when I was like a little kid, like 8 years old, and he was throwing out doubloons, and this is of course during Mardi Gras time here in New Orleans, and I was so pumped up. He threw a doubloon, it rolled on the ground, and I went and ran and got it, and I was like, I got a doubloon from Pat Sajak. I was so happy. So I'm a really long time fan of Wheel of Fortune because my grandparents, I call them Mama and Papa, they would watch it every night, and every night I was over, we'd watch it together. They also watched Jeopardy, but I didn't like it. Honestly, I'm not good at trivia at all. If someone wants to play me in Trivial Pursuit, I lose. And I'm just like, I don't even like this game. Get out of here. But I guess another TV show that I really love, of course, is The Price is Right. Because it's so ridiculous and silly, and it's just fun to watch. Whenever I was homesick, I would always watch that show. I love that. Let's see. There's more questions here. If I don't get to all of you guys' questions, I really apologize. I'm trying to multitask. It's hard sometimes to go between comments and like what I already have the graphics for. So I'll try my best to get to you guys' questions as much as I can. I really appreciate you guys watching. At Bert Macklin 11, what's your favorite non-cartoon Nickelodeon show? That's hard. The Adventures of Pete and Pete. I mean, lately, I actually like it more as an adult than I did as a kid. As a kid, I feel like I didn't like any really non-cartoon shows on Nickelodeon. I mean, I watched them, but I wasn't like super pumped to see them. I know I liked Are You Afraid of the Dark, but then I love this podcast. It's called the Big Orange Couch Podcast. You could find them at BOC Podcast on Twitter. They basically have a 90s Nickelodeon podcast. They go in depth on everything. So whenever they talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark, I never remember the episodes, ever. Like, I'm like, I don't remember that episode. I know I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark. I just don't remember them. But again, I would have to say The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Team Louis saying Salute Your Shorts was his favorite. Salute Your Shorts was great. But again, I don't really remember that either because I was so focused on the Nicktoons. I really loved Rugrats and Rocco. Those were like my two favorite things, and those were my favorites, honestly. But non-cartoon, I would definitely have to say The Adventures of Pete and Pete with Artie, the strongest man in the world, for sure. God, how can you not love Artie? He's like the best. At Foul_original, favorite 90s cartoon that was rebooted. Oh, that's hard. I really don't like many reboots, to be honest with you, but the reboot I was most looking forward to hasn't been released yet. They rebooted Rocco, and they made a movie, and it's made, but it hasn't been released, and they keep putting it off, and why, Nick, why? Come on, Nickelodeon, you're better than this. Release it. We want it. So I really don't know. I know they're rebooting. Now, this isn't a cartoon, but they're rebooting all that soon. I'd be interested to see that. It's with a new cast, but Keenan and Kel are still involved. So that'd be interesting to see. But cartoon-wise, I want to see the Rocco reboot really bad. I heard that the Hey Arnold Jungle movie was good, which is a reboot in a way. I'll have to check that out because as a kid, I never really was super into Hey Arnold, but now as an adult, I'm actually currently rewatching it, and it's a great show. How did I not like it more when I was a kid? I don't know, but so I will go through the whole series, and then I'll check out the movies later when I'm done. So I'll have to let you guys know if I like the Jungle movie and to see if that reboot was good. Alright, so then my good friend Dave at Good Guy, he's not at Good Guy, but he is a good guy, and he's at Dave Pizzeski. He asks me to talk about certain topics like the 80s. The 80s I love. Everyone knows I love the 90s, but a lot of times I don't get to talk about how much I actually do love the 80s. I mean, we were just talking about Karate Kid a few minutes ago, one of my favorite things ever. I love E.T., The Goonies, so many great 80s movies, especially like kids movies, family movies, Ghostbusters. God, so many great things in the 80s that are just iconic. A lot of great cartoons, too, like, I think The Real Ghostbusters was the 80s. I loved that show. Metal Mixel, I think that's how you say it, they're asking me in the comments right now, am I going to the G1 show in Dallas? Yes, I am, and I'm super excited. That week's going to be a busy week for me. I'm actually going to Summerfest, which is up north, and then flying, spending a few days there, me and Paul, and then we're flying to Dallas for the G1 show. And I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Sandman29 is saying that he's hearing they're going to reboot Clarissa Explains It All. That's interesting. I don't know how that will come off. Like, will Melissa Joan Hart be the mom in it? I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if that would work. To me, it's like, it's so hard to beat the original. The original was such a special thing. It was released in a special time. Frozen in time, you could say. And that's why looking back on them is so much fun. So I don't know. I don't know how that would be. It's just so 90s. How could it work now? How? I'll give it a chance, though, if they do reboot it. Then Dave wants me to talk about Animorphs. Never really read the books too much. I read Goosebumps more than Animorphs. I did watch the show, but all I remember is the open where, like, they were, like, melding, like, they were, like, goo, melding into different stuff. I think that was Animorphs. But yeah, I barely remember either the books or the show. And dog movies he wants me to talk about. I love Air Bud, I love Homeward Bound, all kinds of great dog movies. I know that, what's that movie called with that dog? Haichi? Is that the name of the movie? Well, anyway, that movie is sad as hell, whatever the heck it's called, with Richard Gere. It's super sad. I don't like to watch it. I only watched it once because I was like, I'm never watching it again. It's way too sad and depressing. Of course, they're British, so I would consider that British comedy. Current British comedy, I'm not like the hugest fan of. I don't go out and seek it, but I mean, I've got every Monty Python movie. I've got the whole television series. I've got like audio CDs with all of their skits on them. My dad every year would give me like a Monty Python gift for Christmas and my birthday. I've got Monty Python dolls. I've got stuffed animals. When I tell you I've got a ton of Monty Python merch, I'm not exaggerating. My first DVD we ever owned, not just me, in my whole house, the first DVD we had was the special edition version of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And actually, for my talent show, in middle school, at a Catholic middle school, they allowed me to perform multiple years Monty Python sketches because I was super into Monty Python at the time. So I reenacted with some friends some Monty Python skits. Like, I know one was the argument sketch. If you guys have seen that sketch, it's great. It's all about this guy going in and paying for an argument, and it's a really silly argument. They argue about the payment for the argument, so it's all really, really great. That's one of my favorite sketches by them. There's also this great one about Michelangelo. I did that one at a Catholic middle school. They allowed me to do this. I had to tweak a few things here and there, but I think I said the word "get" because like they say that in the skit, and I think they allowed me to say it. So I was like, oh my god, how did I get away with this? They must have really liked me in middle school, like all my teachers, and like there was one nun. There wasn't a lot of nuns. There was a few, I guess. Maybe it was more than one. But anyway, I can't believe they approved it. I've seen the play Spam-A-Lot. Great, by the way. It's amazing. I can't get enough Monty Python. In fact, it's been too long since I watched any. I could do a whole Kelsi Likes episode just on Monty Python, and I think I will. I think my favorite member would have to be Eric Idle, the second favorite member of Monty Python, maybe John Cleese. Really, Monty Python's just gold. It still holds up today, which is saying a lot, because sometimes comedy can kind of seem out of place. Like old comedy nowadays, it just doesn't play right, but Monty Python never ages. And my favorite Monty Python, I guess you can't call it a movie, but the favorite collection of theirs that I like is Monty Python Live at the Hollywood Bowl. I love that. They do a lot of their famous best skits live on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, and it's great. It's almost better than some of the original sketches in the TV show, in the Flying Circus show. So to me, Live at the Hollywood Bowl, if you guys haven't seen it, get the DVD. You will not be disappointed. What? Sandman is saying that his church also did a Monty Python sketch? What the hell? The argument one too? That's funny that they, because Monty Python can be kind of over the top and wrong. So as a little kid, I can't believe I was watching that stuff, but I was. I mean, geez. PCH says, Faulty Towers and Red Dwarf were my jams. Yeah. Also, Metal Mixel is saying Holy Grail is one of the funniest movies of all time, in his opinion. I gotta agree. I love The Holy Grail. It's such a well-done movie. Also, Dave Pozeski, his last question is about Miyazaki movies. I like a lot of Miyazaki movies. I don't really like anime, is the funny thing, but I liked his movies. Of course, I like Spirited Away. But I like the weird ones, like The Cat Returns. I know that one's not really popular. Howl's Moving Castle. I think I liked Porco Rosso. That's so weird that I liked that one. A lot of them I haven't seen in many, many years. I've seen almost every one of his movies. The funny thing is Slumberland, and it's one of my favorite kid movies ever. A lot of people don't know about that movie. It didn't do very well, and lots of people pulled out of the production of it, including Miyazaki. He was supposed to be involved in it, and Studio Ghibli was supposed to be involved in it, and they didn't like the direction the story was going in, so they got out of it, unfortunately. But I love the animation of it. It's almost got an anime flair without being too anime-ish. So I think it's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. I really love it, and the story is kind of confusing, but it doesn't matter because the visuals are flippin' awesome. If you guys haven't seen the movie, I mean, there's this whole area in this dreamland called Nightmare Land, and it's so creepy, and the villain in the movie is the creepiest villain ever. I'd love to have a piece of art with the dreamland and the Nightmare Land on both sides of the piece of art with the huge villain towering over the piece of art at the top. That would be really cool. If only I could draw, like I said earlier, that would be great. But thank you for all the great topics, Dave. Those are so thought-provoking, and I really appreciate it. Here we have a really difficult question from Brotherly Love Wrestling at 215 Wrestling. You have to pick one between Guts, Wild and Crazy Kids, and Legends of the Hidden Temple. What are you trying to do? Give me an impossible question or something? Oh my gosh. Man, I don't know. I guess I would have to pick Wild and Crazy Kids. People might be like, why are you picking the least popular out of all of them? Well, I don't know. To me, I feel like that one was the most fun seeming out of all the kid shows. Legends seemed fun too, but no one ever won. Again, I have to recommend BOC Podcast. Check them out on Twitter. Then you could find a link to their iTunes link. They are so incredible. They have done all kinds of episodes on Nick game shows. They also did a versus episode where they had to defend, one of the hosts had to defend Legends of the Hidden Temple, the other one had to defend Guts, and they had to argue which one was better than the other. And they did this by splitting different things up into categories like host, co-host, challenges, theme, and stuff like that. So then they had a guest host who was the judge and had to judge which person argued for which show the best. And they've done these versus episodes with lots of stuff. They did it with Keenan and Kel. They literally did Keenan versus Kel, which is also a favorite episode of the Big Orange Couch podcast that I love. Again, check them out. I can't say enough great things about them, but my personal choice for picking between Guts, Wild and Crazy Kids, and Legends, I'd have to pick Wild and Crazy Kids, because it just seemed like so much fun. What kid wouldn't want to slide down a huge hill in an inner tube? It was a hill covered in whipped cream, or I can't remember what it was actually covered in. I think it was either whipped cream or soap suds. I guess that would make more sense, because slip and slides and soap suds, and I don't know. It was something slippery. but I loved Wild and Crazy. And they had a great open. Wild and Crazy Kids. Such a good open. My friend Chris at the Sandman 091, video game movies and the curse that seems to follow them whenever one is made. Like the new Sonic movie, which, by the way, the trailer looks atrocious. It looks terrible. What are some of your favorite video game movies, if you have any? And this is going to be a so bad it's good type of situation. I love the Super Mario Brothers movie. I know it's bad, but it's so bad that it's wonderful. I also really like the Super Mario Brothers cartoon, which had like Lou Albano in it, actually. So I love that show a lot. But really, if you're talking about movies, Super Mario Brothers movie. I know it's bad, but I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. It's a childhood favorite. One of those movies that you want to just laugh every time you see it, for sure. Bradley at DARBMILNE. Where do you hope Jon Moxley takes his show next? Well, I hope Jon Moxley appears in AEW, but honestly, I don't care where he appears because I think anywhere outside of WWE, it's going to be great for him, and it's going to be great for the non-WWE scene. So I'm excited no matter where he shows up, but I'm really thinking and anticipating that it'll be AEW. At least it's what I think, personally. Another question from my friend at Sensei_Dave Bear. Here's a hot debate topic. Horror film protagonists. Who was tougher? McGreedy from The Thing or Ripley from Alien? And of course, The Thing, he's talking about Kurt Russell's character. And I love Kurt Russell, so I'm going to say Kurt Russell's character from The Thing instead of Ripley. Even though Ripley was super tough, and I think she played a really important role for horror movies because she showed like how strong a woman can be. But actually, there's like a lot of horror movies that have a woman protagonist, and that's kind of cool. I don't know, I love that about horror movies. Sometimes there's like really strong women and the guys are the ones that are stupid, but other times it's guys that are the protagonists too, so it really just depends. But Ripley was great. I don't want to downplay her. Great character. At metal_2006, which version of Careless Whisper do you like better? The George Michael version or the Seether version? I actually haven't heard the Seether version, so I embarrassingly have to choose George Michael. I mean, it is so corny that it's great. Just like the Super Mario Brothers movie, you gotta give it its props, because even cheesy things are wonderful at some points, at least for me. Like, I'm somebody who like really loves Troll 2. And I also watched the documentary, The Best Worst Movie, which is all about Troll 2, and like where the actors are now and the making of the movie with all the actors grown up like many years later. Great movie. I can't like recommend that documentary enough, but Troll 2, I'm the type of person who loves like really cheesy things. PCH asked if I saw the Mario Brothers TV show. I did, and I did kind of like it as well, just like you. All right, my good friend Take the Bump at Take the Bump Podcast. At Take the Bump Pod, I should say. Tango or Cash? I would have to say Cash, because Kurt Russell, again, that's who I like the most. I'd have to choose him. Then another question from my friend at Take the Bump Pod. What is the best Stallone movie, and why is it Demolition Man? Well, I don't think it's Demolition Man. I think it's Rocky. I'm a Rocky fan. And I like the original Rocky, but I also really like Rocky 3. I like all the Rockies. I don't know. They're great. I even like the ones that everyone hates. Like, what is it, Rocky 5 when he's all poor and fighting in the street? I even like that one. So Rocky's kind of like my jam. I gotta go with Rocky. I'm sorry. All right, here's another question. We're getting near the end here. My opinion on Raw and SmackDown. Is it over, like everyone says, or is it a start of something new, like something else? I really don't like Raw and SmackDown right now. It's really hard to watch. I didn't even watch SmackDown tonight or Raw yesterday. I was too busy watching the Karate Kid Part 2 and the next Karate Kid yesterday, so I didn't watch Raw, but I don't know. I don't really know what they can do. I think the writing really needs to improve. The ratings are going down. For a while, I thought they were doing something new. I think it was right before Mania. I can't remember when I actually liked it. It was not that long ago, but I feel like they're going downhill again, so hopefully they can bounce back. But yeah, Raw and SmackDown, to me, it's really hard for me to watch or to even have the desire to tune in anymore. Lisa, again, has a great question, and she's at LCHIME. Favorite cartoon couples? There's actually a couple. the first thing that pops into my mind is Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Such a cute couple. I mean, greatest cartoon couple. Popeye and Olive Oyl, I think, is another great one. Those are, I think, the two pairs that come to mind. Chaz is saying Raw and SmackDown is terrible right now. Hate to say it, but it's true. I agree with you, Chaz. I mean, it's not what it can be. The roster is stacked, so the talent is there, but the writing is not there. The storytelling is not there. I don't know what can be done to improve all this, though. What is the solution? I honestly don't know at this point. Chaz was saying he was going to ask me if I watched Cobra Kai, but he thinks I answered it. I have been watching Cobra Kai, and I actually reviewed and analyzed it on last week's podcast episode on Wrestling Inc.'s audio channels, Two-Face Wrestling Talk, and part 2 drops this Friday. I have a whole long Cobra Kai analysis and review, lots of fun tidbits and information. Please tune in if you guys like wrestling and Cobra Kai. I talk about all of that in my upcoming podcast episode. Just check out my Twitter at SuperKickingIt. All the links will be tweeted out on Friday, and you guys will be able to find out what I think about Cobra Kai. I love that show. Flippin' great show. I can't even say enough how much I love it. And I believe those were my last questions that I had graphics for, but I actually got some questions from Twitter that I will have to look up right now, so excuse me while I'm looking down at my phone. But I had 2 more questions that came up that I remember came in. Alright, so at Psycho Nigiri says, if WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, and Lucha Underground are on 5 cable channels and you can only watch 2 from now till the end of time, which 2 are you choosing? Man. That's easy, actually. Why am I saying man? New Japan and Ring of Honor. Those will be the only 2 I would choose, and I'd be fine with only watching those for all of time. A lot of people don't like Ring of Honor, but I love Ring of Honor. Oh, Bradley is here. He said he couldn't get Periscope to work. No! I hope my Periscope feed's not too bad. I hope it's going okay. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching right now. If you're watching on Periscope or on YouTube, really appreciate you. Having a lot of fun answering all these questions. Yes, Bradley is on painkillers, but he's actually got some really entertaining thoughts on painkillers. So you should start saying some really awesome thoughts about pizza, Bradley, because I really like, Bradley was saying that I shouldn't deny pizza at all, because I'm going to Chicago, and I was like, I don't really want to try deep dish, and he's like, you gotta try it. So, his views on pizza, I guess I gotta adhere to those rules, because I suppose, even though I don't like deep dish, or the idea of deep dish, I guess I have to try it at least once, I suppose. Alright, and then my last question at Blue, BLU, _Rey Mysterio, what are some of your favorite puns? I honestly can't even think of one pun right now. When I saw this question earlier, I was like, I'm so dumb, I can't even think of a pun right now. I don't even know, but I googled some puns, and some funny ones came up, like, they had a picture of a pumpkin, and it said punkin, like instead of pumpkin. I don't know. That's really not even a pun, but anyway, I can't really think of a favorite go-to pun that I have, or even a go-to saying or statement that I have. I mean, I know I say, yo, I make a wicked cup of cocoa. That's like my favorite quote and line that I say all the time. Of course, it's not a pun, but it's just my favorite quote I say. That really means nothing, makes no sense, has no place in any conversation ever. I mean, I can't even think of a time where I wanted hot cocoa and said it. So I've just said it when I don't want cocoa. And of course, that's from Mrs. Doubtfire. It's one of my favorite lines from the movie. It's so ridiculous. I want to thank you guys for all of your questions. It's been awesome answering them. I got to do these listener topics more often because they're a lot more creative than some of the topics that I plan out. And it's actually a lot easier to just answer these questions instead of researching for many weeks on what to talk about. So my next Kelsi Likes, well, a future Kelsi Likes, I think is going to be about 90s kids movies. I just don't know when it's going to drop yet. I'm still doing research. And then I have a poll out right now. If you guys go to my Twitter at SuperKickingIt, you can vote. It's either, do you want me to talk about Bill Murray, horror movies, or Disney? So go vote in that if you have a preference on what I talk about in a future Kelsi Likes. It could be my next one because I think I'm going to postpone the kids movies ones a little bit longer. So if you want to see me talk about Bill Murray or hear me talk about horror movies or Disney movies, vote, make your voice heard, and I'd love to talk about it. I think I'm going to talk about all 3 at one point. Like, they're all going to get touched on no matter what wins the poll, so no worries if you guys want one to win over the other. They all will be talked about at one point or another. Also, lots of people, I'd put out Disney Channel original movies as a choice in one of my polls a long time ago, and it kept not getting picked in the poll. So no matter what, if nobody wants it or not, I'm doing a Kelsi Likes on Disney Channel original movies at one point, because there's so many great corny gems you guys don't even know. And in fact, I would encourage you to rewatch them as I prepare to do the Kelsi Likes eventually on Disney Channel original movies, because I think we could all have a lot of fun talking about them all. I want to thank you guys for watching, everyone in the comments, in the chat. You've made this super fun and interesting. It's so much better when there's interaction, when I have you guys to go back and forth with. MADANIAL12 says hi. Thank you for watching, and thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Lots of people are saying they want me to talk about horror movies. Well, it's not winning in the poll right now. Bill Murray's winning, but I love Bill Murray, so I'm okay with that. In fact, I almost no matter what the poll says, I almost want to talk about Bill Murray no matter what, because I'd love to get my Bill Murray love off my chest, because nobody knows how much I truly love him. He's the greatest. He's a really big inspiration in my life, and more than just being a favorite actor, some of the lines in some of his movies that he said really resonate with me, especially from Meatballs. There's this great speech, and I'll talk about it in my Kelsi Likes, but that's why I really love Bill Murray. Dave is asking me, do I like Halloween Town? Do I like Halloween Town? I watch it almost every October. I love that movie. I just rewatched it not that long ago. I also love Under Wraps, if you guys remember that Disney Channel original movie. It's about a kid basically a mummy comes back to life, and he kind of keeps it. It's almost like a pet situation. The mummy acts like a pet. It's kind of funny. Love Under Wraps, and I love Halloween Town too. Also, Don't Look Under the Bed is another creepy Halloween-ish Disney Channel original movie. Not as well known, but it's about the boogeyman that lives under the bed. So good. I'm sorry, I love Disney Channel original movies. We're definitely doing a Kelsi Likes on that. But again, if you want to vote on the next topic for the next episode, Bill Murray, horror movies, Disney movies. Disney I could go on forever. I mean, that's pretty easy for me to talk about. I grew up loving Disney movies, especially animated Disney movies. That's my jam. So thank you guys. I had so much fun talking with you. Remember, I will do a future Kelsi Likes listener topics again, so keep those topics coming. Keep brainstorming those topics, because there'll be another one of these in the future. Thanks so much, you guys. Take care.